Current state of the play, current market, where do we sit?
We're in excellent space because, we just had a survey last month, 12 million people, about 8% growth in audience. That's almost 1 million people just ratcheting on to the platforms. We've got something like 34% increase in digital listening. We've got 28% increase in DAB listening. Everyone's got a smart speaker in their house. And there's not a single one of the people in this room that we don't touch once, twice, 3 times every single day when you notice it or when you don't. And I think that there's nothing but good can come from that.
And look, I think from the last couple of years, we've talked about the pain the media industry's gone through with a thing called COVID. Are we back to where we were? Are we in front of where we were?
We're not back to where we were, but I think we're almost there. But I just want to echo... We're not done yet. We're still going. And to be honest with you, I think to just echo what Brian was saying, we're in growth, which, I'm new to radio, and I've been on an event with a few of you, so I'm going to repeat myself, but this is the first medium I've worked in 10 years where I'm in growth, and the audiences are in growth, and that's a really, really special place to be in a position where you've got your proven media assets are growing and your digital media assets are increasing your audience is absolutely fantastic position. From a digital media perspective as well, from a technology, programmatic data, first-party data set, we are absolutely accelerating at speed of that, and we'll have all of the capability to match any of the other digital side of the business out there within the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, Pete. Where'd you come from?
Ash, we're going...
Get in there, Ash. Come on, mate.
Is this sequential?
We're going down, Ash, Fair income. I gave you the brief. No,
Ash Earnshaw, everyone, go.
It's very ironic, this. I was about to say, adjacent to all the guys have been saying is, we're here with the CRA, and I feel... I've been in Australia for about 14, 15 years now, and I feel a real energy from the CRA, and I think part of seeing everyone here today is part of that. And I was going to say how collaborative and joined up our businesses were, but clearly myself and Pete have got a bit of work to do.
You've stolen my bit. Seriously, I was going to say exactly that, because I think I've worked in radio for longer than him, so I've been in radio not quite as long as... Well, probably longer than you.
Longer than me.
Yeah. 150 years, and I've never seen the level of collaboration that you see in the audio industry right now, which is really, really healthy. I worked in outdoor for a period of time, and you guys all know what they're like. They've all got their own stories, they've got their own data sets, they've got their own measurement methods. We now share one, we share an approach, and I think it's really healthy. It's going to be really good for you guys in terms of how we come to you. And to Ash's point, having an industry body like the CRA that is I think right now more focused on the needs of the market than we've ever seen is fantastic too. So we're in a really good place right now. There we go. Darren, how about that? That's positive.
I liked it. So if you were talking about cross-platforms and smart speakers and everything, what are listeners listening to? What are they using?
Yeah, so they're listening to the things that really actually mean something to them, and I think that's the beauty of the audio business. So we are making so much content that is localised and focused on the needs of the consumer, and it's really quite a binary thing. If we make it and it's good, we get an immediate, download and engagement on our podcast metrics. We get immediate streaming metrics, and we have to wait a few weeks, but we'll eventually get some diary ratings metrics as well, which is very exciting that that's changing next year. But we can tell what people want because they engage with it, and we just make more of it. And I don't think, between the people here, the businesses here, and the people that are coming up on the next panel. There's not a market in the world that makes more daily fresh content than what gets made here. And when Ford is saying that there's a number of things that this market does better than many other places in the world, making audio content that sticks is right up there.
Okay, so content is king.
100%.
Right, so Pete, content is king. What give us some examples of, are we talking about client content?
Yeah,
are we talking about your content?
I'll use breakfast radio, old school breakfast radio, as an example of that, because I think what you'll hear today, we'll talk podcast, we'll talk about the craft of creating content, but I look at breakfast radio and 75% of the population still listen to breakfast radio. Now, 60% of the population listen to commercial radio, which is what you guys care about. So it's a massive thing. And the reason it is because the work that goes into creating that content by, and you know, Erin might be in the room, Ben might be in the room, Kyle and Jackie O, Fitzy and Whipper. Have I ticked every box there in terms of yes, I have, all networks ticked off, good stuff.
Just don't talk about Sydney Breakfast Radio.
So Kyle and Jackie O again. So the work that goes into building that content that pulls people in. And why is content king? And why does 75% of the Australian population listen to breakfast radio? Is because we're all creatures of habit. So we get out of bed every day and we have our rituals. And for 75% of us, a ritual is the clock radio beside the bed, if anyone still has one, the digital radio in the shower, the mobile device as you go into the gym, the car radio for most of us as we're driving to work or we're dropping off the kids. And we're addicted to what Kyle and Jackie O, Fitzy and Whipper, Ven Fordham offer up every single day. So you can listen through any device you want, but unless it's compelling, engaging content, you're not going to listen. So content will remain king. I'll use Kyle and Jackie O again as an example of, you know, yes,
that's 4 times you've
no,
used
I'll go again. Frequency's key.
Medium, right?
It is. We know that. So
I did ask him.
He did. He poked me, and I've gone there. So Kyle and Jackie O have been number one, as we all know, for a fair while, both at SCA and ARN. FM, yeah. If anyone's from, yes.
I didn't want to go there, but...
Yeah, I'll leave that. But what I was going to say to that was those who miss out during the breakfast show now catch up by the podcast, and Kyle and Jackie are now the number 5 downloaded podcast in Australia. So it just shows you'll follow the content. You'll follow it from breakfast and you'll follow it to the podcast. So absolutely, content is the most important thing in everything we do.
Okay, so if we're talking around through the client's eyes, or us talking to our clients, creative, based on content, should creative be changing based on the platform you're serving and at what time? And are you seeing that happen more frequently?
You're not seeing it enough. So yes, you are seeing it, but I think we've got a ways to go to clients and clients and agencies to understand how you use the different platforms. So I think sometimes the default is to go back to a 30-second ad and try and roll that out across platform. You know, you're not going to run a 15-second call to action ad that you might run in 2GB Breakfast in a true crime podcast. So I think it's up to us to keep educating agencies especially and beyond all creative agencies as to how to bring creative to life across platform. There's some really exciting things happening in the creative space. You know, dynamic creative, a few of the networks are really having some fun within market. Audio branding is an area that I think clients could be doing more with. I mean, as we go through this audio renaissance, everyone should have their own sound, their own sonic trigger, and a lot of clients don't have it yet. And we've all got some amazing creative talent on board that can help you there. So, yeah, there's a lot going on, but there's a lot more that could be done.
And I'll jump in on that one, just from a podcasting perspective in particular, and digitally more generally, we are seeing a shift out of just pure database buying into environment-based buying. And I think the call out on that, especially in an intimate environment like podcasting, which is so specific, which people have such a strong affinity and reaction to, brilliant environment to, you know, affect change for your brand, but you've got to get that creative right. You've got to get that message within that environment right. And if you don't, it's never going to be as effective as it could be.
You know, I think actually we're encompassing the challenges we've got with our customers in this conversation, because I think we've talked about podcasting, we've talked about streaming, we've talked about radio, we've talked about surveys, and all of a sudden you might start getting a little bit confused about what is it we're actually selling at the minute, because there's plenty of things and there's a lot of new stuff that's kind of emerged over the last few years. That's actually the challenge. It's also the exciting thing, because I think, you know, Pete was talking quite rightly about habitual radio listening. You know, from the time you get up to the time to go to bed, you know, the one thing that never leaves you is your phone. We've mobilised our product. We've collected data on the product, and one of the things that we've got to do as an industry, and I think we're getting there and there's conversations happening about it, is how do we bring that highly mobilised, targetable audience that's also going to give you reach, it's also going to give you engagement, depending on the content that you want to choose to advertise with. It's going to do that reach, it's going to do that engagement, it's going to do that addressability if that's what you want. We have a challenge to make that a lot easier to get to. And I kind of recognise, just in listening to us carry on, that we need to hurry up and get that done.
Thank you. I agree.
So I think what you said was free production for multiple creative.
How much do you want to spend? Because I can have a negotiation with you, but I don't know if you've got the goods.
I don't.
Right, shut that down.
Okay, so
I don't know. I think Brian's right, but obviously we've got to listen to everyone in the room. But within our businesses, we've got some pretty good parts of our businesses that bring assets together. And I know my colleagues down here have. Powered at 9, for example, brings that complexity together through big ideas. I think it's up to you all to give us that feedback today. But I think, let's not be hard on ourselves. I think we've all invested in our businesses, big parts of our businesses, say the studio at SEA, to bring podcasting and streaming and live linear radio together and to harness the wonderful talent that we're going to hear from today. So I think, what we want is briefs that challenge us to do that. And for us to be able to tell the story like today about how we can make it simple for brands if they brief us in a different way.
And I think that's the key. I think it's for the indies out here to understand that there's access. And there's lots of education, but it's access to understanding where we can go and the access and being able to jump on with you guys and get your support with it. So if we talk around, and this is probably to you, Ash, talk back to music and talk back moving to that streaming. Where's that sit and what's the future look like?
Yeah, I mean, and forgive me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat today. I think music and talk, I see, especially on a panel like this, I see as very complementary. I think clients should be thinking about the role that talk plays and the role that music plays as part of an audio ecosystem, having that conversation with us all. And I certainly wouldn't sit here, not just because my colleagues are sat, or my colleagues in audio are sat next to me, but I think they both play a complementary role in the media schedule. Certainly from a talk perspective, we've invested a lot over the past couple of years to make talk more relevant than ever. We had a goal to make talk for a new generation. I think we're on that journey. Ben's here somewhere today, bringing in talent like Ben Fordham, Ross and Russ in Melbourne. Obviously, we just changed up the breakfast show in Brisbane. We continue to make talk radio accessible for brands and to make it engaging for consumers. And, that appeal is broadening. I think Pete mentioned earlier about scale. We have to remind ourselves, just on our platforms, we engage 2 million listeners every week. Significant scale in the radio side of our business. And part of that is about the connection that those hosts are having with the community. And some things, we talked about podcasting, streaming, Nick talked about data, but radio's always played that role of connecting audiences. It's certainly why I love radio. And, from a talk perspective, I still think talk has a unique role to do that. And we saw that through COVID as well. So, from a listening perspective, Australians wanting to connect and understand about what was happening in the country, about, information and having their voice. And I think we still do that. But I think it's entirely complementary to audio strategies, including music.
And I think with talk, it's pretty important to be able to lay over that creative element to be able to engage in talk. And we all probably need creative solutions on how we can engage content. We talk about content and talk being high content. How do we engage clients' messages through creative content, through talk?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for all of us, it's got to be an authentic way to engage that audience, right? And I think we've invested a lot in the platform to be able to have ways in for brands, ways to leverage the unique relationship that announcers have got with that talk audience. Again, though, I think it's the same for all of us. From an audio perspective, that's something that we do really well. That immediacy, getting on air quickly, being creative, working with some of the wonderful creative minds we're going to hear from today. We do that really well, but I think all of us do that really well if we are having that right conversation with the brands and the clients we've got in the room.
Thanks for that. So probably last question, and I did say, Nick, I was going to share this, get you to answer this, and you said you didn't want to. No, sorry. Measuring the success of a campaign. I don't know how many times I've been in a boardroom with a client and said, prove radio works. I don't know, has anyone ever had that happen to them? Many times. Now, I know that there's there's a lot more platforms out there, but how are we getting better at proving campaigns work? Campaign efficiencies.
Oh, yeah, I didn't say I didn't want to answer. I just said I got the boring one. So intuitively, and for years now, and I've spoken to many people actually in this room about when you've isolated and had the ability to isolate the radio's effectiveness, it always does extremely well. It's that sweet spot between brand and performance that actually drives a fantastic result for clients. So we know that. The challenge for us is how do we do that on a campaign-by-campaign basis. Ourselves, with Veritone, and I know these guys, we're all investing, and you guys as well, are investing heavily in your attribution products. Veritone's, talk about creative as Brian was doing. You can look at two sets of creative, how they're optimized between them, how they're driving out a result almost in real time. So we have the tools to be able to do that for the right clients and the right campaigns. I suppose looking forward, how do we bring that together with our digital assets and our first-party data? And that's really is that sweet spot between the two, where you can bring together both the effectiveness of our broadcast medium with that of our digital to drive the result. So we're there, and very much on the broadcast side, and the digital side around that attribution is extremely close. I suppose a question for the panel on that is, we talk about ease of trade. What about ease of measurement? So do we look to join together, not just on ways to trade with us effectively, but how to measure that and prove that ROI effectively across the group?
Panel?
Oh, yeah, look, I mean, we're, the level of digital listening across our assets is increasing exponentially, and that actually opens up minute by minute, opportunities to measure effectiveness and impact, and we are doing that on dozens of campaigns a day. And it drives repeat business and increased business for us. We're always there ready to sort of look at, whether it's brand awareness studies or, impact of our advertising campaigns on web traffic or whatever other metrics that you want to explore. All of us are doing that on the daily. So if there's anybody out there that's under any kind of misapprehension that their radio campaign potentially might not work, talk to us, because we'll get you the proof that you need to make sure that kind of thinking goes away. Because there's another thing that I think is absolutely fundamental at the moment that you may have noticed in some of our trade positioning, that we've been talking about the fact that we're in a hyperinflationary environment at the moment, and our television costs are going through the roof. Sorry about that, mate. But there is a defensible opportunity for brands to get in and layer audio products across the top of those buys and bring the eCPM down without having to walk away from any platform. And I think you need to be thinking about that, and I think Joe's going to talk a little bit about some of the cross-platform measurement. And I think that's actually, right now, the way your clients are thinking about the inflation pressures that they are facing, this is the thing you need to be thinking about. Because we do know that radio works, we know TV works, and what we need to do is get the right combination in place so that you guys can help your clients defend against this hyperinflationary environment that we're sitting through at the minute.
Anything to add there? Look, I think helping us influence our clients. Sorry, I agree. You've got to get in early, Nick. Don't go for it, mate. So,
No, go.
I think the key for us is what tools can you give us to influence our clients and help us with the discussions we're having with our clients? I think to finish, probably, that would be if we could walk away with a tool to speak the way you speak in the way we can't drag you out to every client, or can we? Can we drag you guys out to clients?
Of course you can.
Yep.
Okay.
Every day.
So, but what's a tool to be able to get out there and influence clients' discussions?
I reckon you're about to see one straight after us.
Joe is going to nail this one for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Segue.
Well, there's a segue. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for these
Thanks for
four
having
lovely
us.
men. Thanks for your time, guys.